What? You're still watching? You're not tired of me yet? Okay, so we've seen how you can install programs with an H package. It's one of the major innovations that Haiku has made since the BOS days. And yeah, it has its points that are debatable. I mean, when you install it, it becomes non-writable. It's in a virtual directory where you can't change things, right? And so you have to put your configuration file somewhere else. But overall, it's a beautiful system. I mean, you remove one package and your program's gone, you know, and it'll update itself very easily. But what if I told you you can make these things yourself? It's not all that hard. And it doesn't even have to be a program. You got a couple of nice wallpapers and you want not even to give it to somebody else, you just want it in a nice installable package that you can just keep on a backup disk somewhere, and one day you've got a new Haiku installation. Up, click on the H package and it's installed again. So yeah, it's worthwhile seeing how we actually do this. I don't have any nice wallpapers to do this with, so we're just going to use an actual program, something I compiled a few days ago. In fact, I've got two of them. All right. So I've already unzipped the one, and we'll just do the other one. Right, so you can see if I already unzipped this one. So we go into, not Haiku Depot, Expander. Right, and we give it a little place. Yeah, it's the same program again. Yeah, there we go. And let's create that folder. And it opens it up for me, but I don't need it yet. Okay, we're going to start with this other one. Something I just put up yesterday. And when this video is ended, I'll show you how to get to my my ports and programs, and because I've made a little portal for that. Okay, so the first thing you do, and obviously I'm going to delete these now because we don't want things to be too easy. Okay, so this is a tiny little program. Right, so if we, let's see, open terminal, thank you. That prints a little ASCII chart. Very classical program. I've often wished we had it in Haiku. Well, now we do. And this, I didn't write this. This was written by Eric S. Raymond, who is sort of a legendary programmer. I think he did this in his sleep. It's such a simple little thing. So I don't want this hex stuff. So let's just say, make it decimal only. There we go. Right, or you can say, what are the codes for capital O? Now, what is a associated with the code, let's say 27, that's the escape key. Right? Yeah, there we are, ESC, right? So it's octal 27 is something else. Let's see, decimal 27 or hex 27. So it's just a useful way to get information about what's on your keyboard. And you know, some programming languages want the decimal code and some want it in hex. I've never actually seen one that needs it in octal or in binary, but it's there if you want it. So, that's the actual program. Right, CD. Right, and all we can see here is 3 directories. So you got bin where you keep your binary, because this is not a application, it's just a command line thingy, and data, right, and this is where I keep the source code if you want it, if you want to, you know, compile it yourself. There it is. And documentation, and there's just a man file. Okay, so this is a really simple thing. So all you see is these three directories, and they will then mimic or be the same down to the spelling, down to the upper and lower case as here. See, there's a bin, right? And this one doesn't have an apps because it doesn't need one. But if you have empty directories, you know, if you have an apps in here and it's just empty, it's not going to be a big problem. Right, see, there you have data, which of course has a lot more in it. And there you have documentation, man 1. Okay. But there is something else in here which we cannot see. Why can we not see it? Because we are hiding the dot files. So if you're doing any kind of development, you're going to have to live with the dot files. Dot package info. As far as I know, it's capital P and capital I, or it won't work. Right? So there's no actual name. It basically is just an extension. Pure text file. And let's see what it says. Okay, so I have kept this thing quite simple because it's a very simple program. Right, name is ASCII, version 3.20, then -1. Okay, so 3.20 is what the program reports. You say ASCII -v, then it'll tell you this is version 3.20. You can have another field, you can have 3.20.0. I don't think it goes up to 4 fields. Experiment a bit, but you usually don't need more than 3. And here we have just 2 and it works fine. Architecture, very important. This is x86 64, 64-bit Haiku. So, unless you're playing around with, you know, ARM or RISC architectures, you are going to have 64-bit Intel, which is what this is, 32-bit Intel, which is the old Haiku, which I don't work with anymore, and any. Now, if you're doing an H package of wallpapers, then you will use any, A-N-Y, because there's no program in there, it can run anywhere. Even if it's a shell script only, you can use any. Because bash is bash, whether it's 32 or 64-bit. Right, so it's only when you got a compiled program that you have to choose between x86 64 and the 32-bit. I think it now is x86 underscore GCC2, something like that. Well, if you've got a 32-bit system, just go look in boot system packages and you'll see what you're supposed to use. Okay, then you got your summary and your longer description. This is the one place where you can do a multi-line description and not worry about how it gets formatted. Right, packager. Right, that's my name. Should I blur out this email address? Nah. Okay, vendor, put in there anything that will identify you. You know, there is a thing where you can say xvnd dot whatever. It's it's not something that gets checked on rigorously. All right, Eric S. Raymond is the copyright holder, and here we could have added the year in which this was written, but this little thing has been written and rewritten so many times that I couldn't actually find the original date when the copyright came into existence. Licenses, and you have to put in a license, right? The package command is not going to accept this if you don't put in a license. If you want to see what licenses you've got, right, then we go to system data licenses, and we got a lot of them. This has to be absolutely perfect. You know, don't mix up lowercase, don't omit any spaces. And so you see there are quite a few licenses. It doesn't have my personal favorite, the WTFPL. I'll leave it to you to find out what that is, because I don't want YouTube to throw me off. But there's a lot. Okay, so even if you're just packaging something for your own use, you have to give a license. Just use public domain. Right, but Raymond licensed this under the BSD2 clause. And so, because that's a known license, I don't have to include it. But if he was using a custom license, the ASCII license, then I would have to make a directory here called licenses and include a copy of that license. All right, what does it provide? It provides ASCII equals 3.20 number 1. Okay, so if Raymond comes out with 3.21, then it'll be 3.21 dash 1. But if I realize I made a mistake with the packaging and I need to redo it, then it'll be 3.20 dash 2. Right, so that last little indicator is the number of the package. And that can go up to, I don't know, 99 or some, whatever. Right, and then all it provides is a CMD, a command. In other words, this is for the terminal. If it also provided an application, then it would have been whatever. All right, let's undo all that, because I don't want to. And you can see there's a curly bracket here and one there. All right, URLs, and here this here is just a comment that won't appear anywhere, and this is where I got his original source code. You see there's an open line which doesn't need to be there, and this indentation that I've got here is not really necessary, but it's just a little neater. Okay, so this is dead simple. There are other categories. There is a category for what the dependencies are. There's a category for what it replaces. And I will be busy for the next 2 hours if I go through all that. So, my advice is just grab a existing H package that's roughly on the same level of complexity as yours. Have a look at the .package info and see what the categories are that you may need for your package. You very quickly get the hang of it. Okay, so let's save changes. Let's not save those changes. Okay, so let's make an H package. Right, now it is possible to do this in one fell swoop. However, the recommended way is to do it in 2 stages. Right, so package create. Right, and if I now just give the file name, then it'll just make a package from whatever it sees in this directory. But what if you had some other nonsense in this directory that you'd forgotten about, or maybe you've got a readme file here that you don't want in the package. So it's better to say -b, -b, whatever you want to call it, which stands for bare. So it just creates the shell of a package with the .package info. Right, and we're going to call this, right, then the 0.20-1, right, and then the x86-64. Okay, so what you actually call it, if it's just for your own purpose, you can forget about, this stuff here and just call it wallpaper, because it's just for you.
alert from calendar. New event.
Sorry about that. That's my Mac acting up. Right. But this is, however, one of the few places where you really, really do need the extension. Very un-haiku, but that's the way it is. I've come stuck with trying to create these things and not using the HPKG extension. And this is not going to work because I've got a spelling error in the word package. I just caught myself in time there. Package, and there's still. One, two, three. Oh, okay. Cross fingers. Boom, there it is. Okay, 1.7 kilobytes. So this thing, if we now click on it, is empty. There's a package .package info in there and nothing else. But it is a valid HPKG file. You could install it. Nothing would happen, but okay. So we've got to add things to it. So package, please spell it correctly this time. Add. And now all we're going to add, we don't have to add the .package info again, right? Just these directories. You don't want loose files at this level. Just directories. Bin data. All right, and that's it. It would help if I actually put in the name of the HPKG. Right. Okay. So package add, name of the package, and the 3 directories that are in here. And there we go. So we should now be able to install this. Oh, don't let me down now. Yeah, there we go. From repository local. Thank you. Okay, so now if we go to boot system bin, then we should now see, where are you? There, ASCII. So if I now, I can close this, I can delete all of this, yeah? I can empty my trash just to prove to you that this is now part of my system. Because why should you trust me? There you go. So I've just created an HPKG and installed it. So it's actually not that hard. So I'm not going to actually compile this one, but same thing. You can see there's a package info, right? And right, oh, here I've got it the long way around. I actually made an error in there. Doesn't really matter. Right, now slightly different. You see there's a command, tinytim, which is just a symlink in the bin directory, and there's an app. So here I had to make an apps. And if I now make this HPKG and install it, then here this is where it will appear. Right, and this is just a symlink. If you're going to symlink within an H package, make sure that it's a relative symlink. Right, you'll find that in the Haiku documentation. Basically, you hold down the Shift key while you're making the symlink, and then instead of linking directly to boot, desktop, blah blah blah, it goes to ... slash ... slash, etc. etc. And that is what makes it work in the desk bar, because there is my icon for Tiny Tim, and right, and here is my source code. Okay, that's optional. My apps imports are generally so tiny that, you know, I'm not going to make a separate SRC package. And so I just hide it here in data, name of the program, SRC, right, so. You know, because what's in data, it's a bit of a dumping ground anyway. It won't do any harm. Right, so I hope you can see the differences between the two, and that is how you make an H package. Now there's some more trickery, more advanced stuff that you can do, which I'll do in a future episode, a future supplemental, I should say. And that, let me just say that there is a thing where you can actually have the H package execute a script on installation. So there's very interesting things that you can do with that, but that's for later. Okay, I told you I would don't save. I would be showing you something, and this is my new one-page site, right, where you can find out all these little ports and programs that I've been playing around with, and as they get updated, they'll bubble back to the top of the list, and as new ones get added, they will appear at the top of the list. So you can just go down until you say, oh yeah, that's familiar stuff. Okay, I will put this address in the show notes. So bookmark it, and yeah, you're probably thinking, why doesn't he just make a repo? Well, the sort of things I do don't get updated very often. I mean, some of these programs haven't been updated for 7 years. Yeah, and you can still make them to work and they can still be useful, but, you know, a repo is really for stuff that gets updated fairly often. Otherwise, what's wrong with just downloading the H package, clicking on it, boom, it's installed. Okay, I actually have quite a bit more than this, but that's very old stuff that I did 5 years ago, and I want to go over it and check it again before I, you know, list it up here for you to play around with. Alright, there's some Java apps that I packaged, and some really old stuff. Right, I found this tiny little DOS emulator called EMU2. I'll put that up here as well by itself. And so I've actually made little self-extracting programs that will run in that emulator. That was just for fun, really. That wasn't serious. These are serious stuff. Yeah, most of what you'll find here will be tiny terminal utilities. Right, but still. So, have I gone over my time? Yeah. What else is new?